to be, are we, he's going to want to play, and it's not really a all right preventative decision on whether or not how much he can sustain and further and worry about further injury. It's not that. It's more the consequences of someone that when you go to a game on an active roster that's very limited, and then you're unable to fulfill your four-quarter duty. There's a consequence on the team, as well as I need to still make sure that where his confidence level is at with something that I know is uncharted for him. So, because you want him to be his best self when he's playing. So there'll be a little, posturing on his part, I assume, and I'll just be deciphering between his level of confidence and my confidence that he can, play 4 quarters. Not saying that he has to, because there's things happen all the time in the NFL that you can't control, but just educated guesses that will come, and today will be a big day for that.
So possible to bring him back on a limited snap count?
It's like all things are up in the air. If he's like from a medical standpoint, there's no risk in regard to all right. This is pressing the envelope. That's what I first established. Is like is there inherent risk? Are we playing with fire? And that has been communicated to me that we aren't. So it's more about his confidence, and yes, there is a chance that he will play for sure, but there's a chance he won't either. And we have one practice opportunity to go full speed. That's today, so obviously that'd be very important.
Like a question and a possible follow-up on HN. Yes, on video it looked like he was tackled with hip drop tackles when he hurt his knee. Giants and Raiders.
Okay.
Is that the case? And if so, what are your thoughts on that technique? And is that just the risk that a speedy runner takes?
You want me to make national headlines right now, don't you? You want me to go bold? You want me to call everybody out? No, it's an interesting debate that, I think I operate so much in opportunity cost, and if you're spending time thinking about one thing, you're not spending time thinking about the other. I think so. I don't really have an opinion, or I don't, since I spend so little time. Like, is there, the validity of hip drop tackles and whether or not they, and the recourse for, and whether it's good for the game. I know that it's good for the game for all players to be healthy. I know that it's hard for me to envision a defender trying to tackle someone, and while wrapped up, I think that there's sometimes that people aren't intending to do that, and it just happens. I don't know. Haven't really combed the tape that way or looked through that lens in terms of that being kind of the impetus for Devon's injury. Now that you say that, I can kind of picture the tackles, and they probably were something similar, but it's also just you're tackling defenders, or you're tackling offensive ball carriers in the heat of battle. I think it's a hard enough job to bring someone down. So I think rules should be based around protecting players within as much as we can, because the game benefits with all players being available. That being said, as long as you don't violate the integrity of tackle football, I think that things done towards player safety is a good thing. How do you enforce that? Or I put myself in a defender's shoes, and you're tackling someone, and you're trying to bring them down, and that generally is happening when they're building momentum and they're already progressing down the field in theory. So it's kind of tricky. It's a really interesting topic that I spend absolutely zero time thinking about. But that doesn't mean it's valid. or that doesn't mean it's beneath me. It's more that I'm not trying to meddle in stuff. I got enough problems.
Coach, I want to talk a little bit about Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb. This dynamic duo. They've said that they help each other out in ways when they're frustrated within their game. Besides the stats, what also has impressed you the most about the two of them?
That they've also had internal battles through the season, battling the best problem you could possibly have with a professional athlete, which is strong conviction and obligation to be an elite player for their team and themselves. That is obviously a positive thing, but it also can lead one to press. I think they have really relied on technique and fundamentals in orchestration with Vic's beliefs and Ryan Slowick and Wade Harmon's work with them. They've done an outstanding job building their game the right way within the structure of the defense, because for you to play good defense, individuals have to buy in, so they're not just stat chasing and running the hoop 9 yards deep on first and second down, those type of things. Ultimately, they care a tremendous amount about being pillars to our team, and have learned and really grown right in front of my eyes, particularly this year, in understanding what that is. So they bring it every day. They are pushing themselves to, watching those two in the fourth quarter is one of my favorite things, because they are tired and they don't care. They're willing themselves. You can really see it with both of them. I think they expected this year to be the best football year of their lives so far, and I think they're delivering on that in their journeys, and knowing that there's more on the table for them. But it's a huge part of our team, what drives us. Huge part of one of the reasons. I think last week we led the league in quarterback hits up until the game. I'm not sure where we're at now. It's a short week, so I have no information. But they're a huge driving force for what we're doing.
Michael, if you could put your critic's hat on for a minute, what is your unbiased review of Hard Knocks?
What do you mean?
It debuted last night.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see it. I was asleep.
Really?
Yeah. I think that's a compliment in itself to a lot of people in the building, the relationships that we've built with the crew, my full belief in our communications department, led by Ann Noland. I think I didn't anticipate that, but it was 8:30 and I fell asleep. So I didn't watch it. I don't really have any critique thus. What'd you think? That's what the people want to know.
Well,
Give the people what they want.
You were the star by far.
Oh, really? I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
Anthony Campanelli.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah,
good.
actually, he
Good.
stole the show.
Does
No.
Anthony come up with analogies and pep
Oh,
talks
yeah.
like that every week?
Oh yeah, that's the Jersey thing, man. He's got stuff in his back pocket that him and all his brothers. I mean, he's one of however many football coaching brothers he has. So people responded to him well.
Yes.
They should, because
there
he
needs to be a Dolphin shirt that says "ass whoop"
Right.
universal language.
Universal language. Yeah, I'm fluent in that. Okay, I learned that in middle school on the bad end. Just kidding. No, that's good. That's the kind of what I alluded to in a team meeting before about the unintended consequences. There's some natural resistance to your safe place. We do things in a way that we from a foundational standpoint, you try to do things not because it's been done or the way that you've done it before, but what makes the most sense. And that when you're doing stuff like that and you let your guard down, your guard is down because you've really committed yourself, or you've learned to let your guard down in the safe place. For that to be violated is kind of, nerve-wracking. But at the same time, that I knew there's so many stories of people that, the idea that, I'm a star of a show, I dislike that to the nth degree, just because that's not a team. Like, I signed up for this from the beginning, to getting into coaching, to be a part of a team. And within this team in particular, there's so many driving forces to make us who we are, and to be able to shed a little light on some of those dynamics it's therapeutic to me, because I just know, it's the way things work. But you guys don't get to talk to Anthony Campanelli all the time. You're forced to talk to me all the time, so you do your best with what is in front of you. So I get that, but I'm glad to hear that you guys are fired up, because there's, you put a guy like Anthony Campanelli in front of a room because he can, because of his connection to players, and because he, brings energy and brings passion and his conviction. So he, those type of people have a big residual towards our day-to-day process, which is what makes us who we are. So I think so far so good. Generally, remember, my job is problems. That's what my job is. And people generally don't tell me. Sometimes they tell me some positive stuff, but most of the time it's like, hey, fix this. And I haven't got any fix this conversation, so I feel pretty good about it. Just let me know if there's something that I do. I'll leave it to you guys, okay? Can we agree on this? If there's something that I do that you're like, oh man, that's terrible, you just let me know, because I probably haven't seen it, but so that I can adjust moving forward. Cool?
Mike, I wanted to ask you about.
Oh yeah, I thought you had something terrible.
No, not yet.
Oh hey, all right.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about Jalen Ramsey. In the lead up, while he was coming back from his rehab, a lot of his teammates were talking about how engaged he was in meetings, and talking to them, like how he's so committed to the team. Bringing food trucks on Fridays. I was curious, how do you think that level of engagement and commitment, while he was coming back physically, has allowed him to really drop into the defense and have this kind of seamless comeback?
No, I think it's absolutely everything. When I tell you, never in my career have I seen someone with months, not weeks, injury be as involved in a team. Mind you, he had 2 practices under his belt with this team. So to have 2 practices, have the wherewithal to understand your impact on people, and how your injury was. I mean, our team was in the tank until he talked to the team and explained that, hey, I'm going to do this. And then he did it each and every day. When your most talented players epitomize your beliefs and how to do things as an individual, with regard to yourself, but also with regard to the entire team, when you have the most talent, and then you exhibit the exact model of of Rudy, like like the guy that you're like, wow, like you have Rudy in a once in a generation type skill set, for a guy that size, and it can't help. There's no way to avoid the ramifications for the rest of the team. I think he comes back and it raises people's level of game because he's an elite player, but you also know what he did to get back here. And so then maybe you take an extra 30 minutes to review your tip sheet that you get from your coaches the night before the game. Like, the residuals are endless. If you want to be a winning program, that has to happen, or you're just wishing and hoping. So I can't say enough good things about that guy. One of my top 3 favorite players of all time, and I've only been on a game in game situations with him, like what, 4 times, 3, yeah. Huh?
Or the other two.
Oh, hey, man. I got some great relationships. Very fortunate over the course of my career. That's why I do not say my favorite, and I just leave that gray intentionally. So, way to call me out, but I'm not going to engage.
Coach, on a short week with less time on the grass to rep your game plan, how does that add to the challenge of getting ready for an opponent?
It is a completely different challenge. You have to let go of some of your idiosyncrasies as a coach, to where maybe your plan is, it just adjusts everything you do. You have to keep in mind, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You only have a certain amount of reps. So how do you do things within the realm of players' comfort so they're confident, but also give an element of edge that is necessary to beat any NFL team? You're trying to balance a lot of things. It is a strain. You want to talk about something that no one talks about that is so real, is we are a creature of habit, right? We have the same orchestration of work week, and that is where people live in a high-stakes world of professional football. Well, we are meeting all day and putting in so much stuff on Tuesday, which is the player's day off. So that is the challenge that you enter into, because they're conditioned. Even it doesn't matter how bad they want to. They're tired. It's like, oh man, didn't we just play? Yes, you did. So you have to really go after it. That whole player day off, which is now your Wednesday and Thursday combined. And then you have to, all of that is hard, and then you have to get up and do it again the next day, except this time you're practicing as you would on Thursday on a Wednesday, which is different to the clock. You know, I mean, there's professional athletes have the most OCD and routine, and are more routine oriented than like anybody that I've come across. Like, they are regimented. That's the only way that you can maximize your physical performance. Talking about meals, how like stretching, massages, treatment, pools, tubs, all the different things that go into it. So that inherently is a challenge. But when it's a uncontrollable, then it's not about this is hard. It's about, okay, so then how do we combat that? And you know, I feel very fortunate that we have a lot of competitors that when it's explained to them through that lens, they're up for the challenge. And I'm expecting some exciting football here today on the practice field.
Last question.
I want to ask about Jeff Wilson, just because he's been a guy that we kind of expected to be a regular rotation player for you, and it hasn't exactly been the case, and then he was inactive last week. How has he been performing, and is it just health, or is it performance, why he hasn't been contributing more?
No, it was, you know, the position we at running back, we've, in my opinion, done a good job of making sure that position group has plenty of depth, because that position in particular has an unpredictable injury flow chart. You know, so, and honestly, I'm so excited for where Jeff's at, because it has nothing to do with his performance in terms of not doing X, Y, or Z. There's a multitude of variables, particularly we get a lot out of our running backs, whether it's you're on first or second down or third down, or you're on special teams. And, you know, I think one of the things that really was a part of, you know, SA's growth this year was his ability to contribute in a strong fashion on special teams. Not to say that Jeff can't. It was more that he was. You don't know which position your pillars on special teams or guys that are strong contributors come from, but and before that, that was a major role for Chris Brooks. So, when you have multiple players that's why he's on the team, but hasn't really, been able to bite the meat off the bone. I don't know why that came to me, but it made sense. But, when you stay patient, when you worry about the stuff that you can control, the whole point of doing that is so that in moments like these, your game hasn't suffered when the opportunity is right in front of you, real as all get out. So Jeff is ready, fully healthy, and I'm excited for the people's champ to get some action.